What if the worst day of your life turned out to be the beginning of your greatest love story? Stay until the end to find out how one smile changed everything. And if this story touches your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales that remind us love finds us when we least expect it. Maya stood on the crowded platform of the metro station, her eyes swollen from crying, mascara streaked down her cheeks. She clutched her phone in one hand and a crumpled tissue in the other. The text message still glowed on her screen, the words burning into her memory. "I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry." 3 years of her life, gone in a single text message. 3 years of planning a future, of building dreams together, shattered because he didn't have the courage to say it to her face. The morning had started like any other Tuesday. Maya had woken up early, prepared breakfast for 2, and kissed her boyfriend David goodbye as he left for work. She had no idea that by noon everything would fall apart. His best friend had called her, stammering through an apology, telling her what David couldn't. He had been seeing someone else, someone from his office, someone who wasn't Maya. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife could. It wasn't just the end of a relationship, it was the death of trust, the crushing weight of being not enough. Now she stood there, waiting for a train that would take her anywhere but the apartment they had shared. She couldn't go back there. Not yet. Not to the photos on the walls, the coffee mugs with their initials, the future that now felt like a cruel joke. People rushed past her, absorbed in their own worlds, their own problems. No one noticed the girl falling apart in the middle of rush hour. No one cared, except for one person. Arjun had been having a terrible day himself. His presentation at work had been a disaster. His boss had humiliated him in front of the entire team, questioning his competence, his dedication, everything he had worked so hard to prove. He had spent 5 years at that company, pouring his heart into every project, sacrificing weekends and holidays. And for what? To be told he wasn't good enough. The rejection letter from his dream graduate program had arrived that morning too, the second one this month. It felt like the universe was conspiring against him, like every door he tried to open was being slammed in his face. He had left the office early, unable to bear another minute of pitying looks from his colleagues. The metro station was his escape route, a way to disappear into the crowd and pretend for a little while that he was invisible. But then he saw her, the girl with the sad eyes and the broken expression, standing alone while the world moved around her. There was something in her posture, in the way she held herself together even as she was clearly falling apart, that made him stop. Arjun didn't consider himself particularly brave or heroic. He was just a regular guy who usually minded his own business. But something about her sadness called to his own. Maybe it was recognition. Maybe it was the understanding that comes from being in the depths yourself. Whatever it was, he found himself walking toward her instead of away. He stopped a few feet away, suddenly unsure. What do you say to a stranger who's clearly hurting? What right did he have to intrude on her private pain? But then their eyes met, and in that moment something shifted. He smiled, not a big, cheerful smile, not the kind that pretends everything is fine. It was a small, gentle smile that said, "I see you. You're not alone. I understand." Maya blinked, startled. This stranger with kind eyes and a soft smile had noticed her. In a sea of indifferent faces, someone had actually seen her pain. Something inside her cracked a little more, but this time it wasn't entirely painful. It was the kind of crack that lets light in. Her lips trembled, and despite everything, despite the worst day of her life, she found herself smiling back. It was weak and watery, but it was real. Arjun took a step closer. "I don't mean to intrude," he said softly, his voice barely audible above the station noise. "But you look like you could use a friend right now, or at least someone to sit with on the train." Maya looked at him, really looked at him. He had honest eyes, the kind that didn't judge or demand explanations. He looked tired too, like he was carrying his own heavy load. Maybe that's why his kindness felt genuine. He wasn't offering help from a place of superiority, but from a place of shared struggle. "I don't usually talk to strangers," she said, her voice hoarse from crying. "Me neither," Arjun admitted, "but something tells me we both need to break our rules today." When the train arrived, they got on together. They didn't speak at first, just sat side by side in comfortable silence. Sometimes that's all another person needs, not solutions or advice, just presence. Just the reassurance that they don't have to face the darkness alone. After a few stops, Arjun quietly offered her his earbuds. "Music helps sometimes," he said. She accepted, and they listened to his playlist together, a collection of soulful melodies that spoke to wounded hearts. By the time they reached the end of the line, something unexpected had happened. They had started talking. Not about the painful things, not yet, about small things, about their favorite songs, about childhood memories, about dreams they once had. Maya told him about her love for painting, how she used to spend hours creating art before life got too busy, before she lost herself in someone else's dreams. Arjun shared his passion for writing, how he used to fill notebooks with stories before corporate life drained his creativity. "Why did you stop?" Maya asked, genuinely curious. "Same reason everyone stops," Arjun said with a sad smile. "I convinced myself that practical was more important than passionate. That paying bills mattered more than feeding my soul. Turns out, neither made me happy." Maya understood that feeling all too well. She had given up so much of herself to be the girlfriend David wanted. She had dimmed her own light to make him shine brighter, and in the end, it still hadn't been enough. "Can I tell you something?" Arjun said as they stepped off the train into the cool evening air. "I came to that station today feeling like a complete failure, like my life was going nowhere and nothing I did mattered. But meeting you, talking with you, it reminded me that connection still exists, that human kindness isn't dead. You gave me something today without even knowing it." Maya felt tears prick her eyes again, but these were different. "You gave me something too," she whispered. "You reminded me that I'm still visible, that I still matter, even when someone I loved made me feel invisible." They exchanged numbers that night, neither one quite ready to let go of the unexpected comfort they had found. What started as a desperate connection between two broken people slowly began to transform into something beautiful. They started meeting regularly, not dating exactly, but not just friends either. They were two souls helping each other heal, reminding each other that their worst days didn't define their worth. Arjun encouraged Maya to paint again. He showed up at her door one Saturday with canvases and brushes, refusing to leave until she promised to create something, anything. Maya spent that afternoon painting for the first time in years, and as the colors flowed, she felt pieces of herself coming back to life. Arjun sat beside her, writing in a notebook he had bought just for this purpose, letting words pour out that had been trapped inside for too long. Maya pushed Arjun to follow his dreams instead of just surviving his job. She helped him research graduate programs, edit his applications, and believe in himself again. When he got discouraged, when the rejection letters kept coming, she reminded him that every no was just one step closer to the right yes. She sat with him through his doubts, celebrated his small victories, and refused to let him give up on himself. Months passed, and slowly, imperceptibly, healing turned into something deeper. The friendship that had saved them both began to bloom into love, but both of them were scared. Maya carried the wounds of betrayal, the fear that trusting again would only lead to more pain. Arjun struggled with feelings of inadequacy, wondering if he was enough, if he could ever be what someone else needed when he was still figuring himself out. The turning point came on a rainy evening, 6 months after that first meeting. They were in Maya's apartment, cooking dinner together, when Arjun suddenly stopped stirring the pasta. "I need to tell you something," he said, his voice serious. Maya's heart clenched, old fears rising. Was this it? Was he leaving too? "I'm falling in love with you," Arjun said, the words tumbling out. "I know we both came into this broken. I know we were supposed to be helping each other heal, not complicating things. But Maya, you've become the best part of my days. When something good happens, You're the first person I want to tell. When things are hard, you're the only person I want beside me. And I'm terrified because I know you've been hurt, and I know I'm not perfect, but I can't keep pretending I don't feel this way." Maya stared at him, her mind racing. Every instinct told her to protect herself, to build walls, to run before she could be hurt again. But then she looked into Arjun's eyes and saw something she had never seen before. She saw someone who knew her brokenness and loved her anyway. Someone who had seen her at her worst and chose to stay. Someone who had healed alongside her, who understood that love isn't about perfection, but about choosing each other every single day. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice shaking. "I'm so scared. Of being hurt again. Of not being enough. Of losing myself in someone else." Arjun stepped closer, taking her hands in his. "I'm scared too," he said. "I'm scared I'm not successful enough, not accomplished enough, not the kind of man you deserve. But here's what I know. I see you, Maya. Not the version of yourself you think you should be. The real you. The artist, the dreamer, the woman with a heart big enough to comfort a stranger. And that woman is more than enough. She's everything." Tears streamed down Maya's face, but this time they were healing tears. "You're enough too," she whispered. "You've always been enough. The world might not see it yet, but I do. I see your kindness, your creativity, your strength. I see the man who smiled at a crying stranger and changed her life." They kissed then, a kiss that tasted of hope and second chances, of two people brave enough to love again despite their scars. It wasn't a fairy tale moment. They both still had healing to do, dreams to chase, fears to overcome. But they had each other, and somehow that made everything feel possible. A year later, Arjun got accepted into his dream program. Maya had her first art exhibition, her paintings displayed in a small but respected gallery. They had both grown, both flourished, not in spite of their pain, but because of what they had learned from it. They had learned that breaking is sometimes necessary for breakthrough, that the worst days can lead to the most beautiful beginnings, that love finds us not when we're perfect, but when we're real. On the anniversary of the day they met, Arjun took Maya back to that metro station. It looked exactly the same, crowds of people rushing past, absorbed in their own worlds. But for them, it was sacred ground, the place where a simple smile had started there forever. "Thank you," Maya said, squeezing his hand. "For seeing me when I was invisible, for smiling when I thought I'd never smile again." "Thank you," Arjun replied, "for smiling back, for taking a chance on a stranger who needed hope as much as you did." They stood there together, two people who had been broken and had found healing in each other's arms. Their story wasn't about perfect love or destiny or fate. It was about choice, about choosing kindness when the world is cruel, about choosing to see another person's pain and reach out instead of walking past, about choosing to be brave enough to love again, even when love had hurt you before. As they walked away hand in hand, Maya turned back one last time. Somewhere in that station, someone else was probably having the worst day of their life. Somewhere, another soul was feeling invisible and alone. She smiled, hoping that maybe, just maybe, someone would notice, someone would stop, someone would remind them that they matter, that pain is temporary, that the worst day can become the doorway to everything beautiful. Because that's what love does, real love, the kind that heals and transforms and makes us brave. It starts with a simple smile, a moment of recognition, a choice to see another human being and say, through actions or words or just presence, "You're not alone. I see you. You matter." And sometimes, if we're very lucky, that simple smile starts a forever. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the power of small acts of kindness, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Share it with someone who needs to hear that their story isn't over, that healing is possible, that love can bloom even in the darkest seasons. Because we all need reminders that we're not alone, that hope exists, that one smile really can change everything. Thank you for being here, and remember, your forever might be just one smile away.